Ladies, gentlemen,
boys and girls,
we're having a moment here right now. I am in the studio with my brother, my paisano, and my business partner, Alex Osenenko. The date is April 16, 2019, a couple days before the PM Grow Summit, the third of the events that we have put on. And we're kind of having a moment here, man. We're here to talk about this journey that you've been on, and this journey that is taking a new page and a new chapter that's about to kick off, man. So first thing I gotta ask you is, where's your head at, man? We're right about to go into PM Grow, and you got a lot going on. How you feeling in this moment?
Well, my wife is in the presidential suite right now in the hotel, PM Grow Hotel, getting ready, and I'm here. I wouldn't be any other place, because I think we owe. I say we because I feel like a lot of people will call you when something happens to me, and they call me when something happens to you. I can't tell you how many times I got congratulated on the benchmarking study. For the record, I had nothing to do with it at all. It was like, you guys did a great job on the benchmarking study. I'm like, at one point, I just started saying thank you.
You gotta embrace it.
Like, what am I gonna do?
You totally gotta embrace it.
It wasn't me. It wasn't like it was near it.
Yeah.
I was near it. Yeah. So anyway, and so yeah, I think we owe some answers to some people, and we're gonna give it in due time. See, the hat is about an inch, so let's do a quick.
Let's get into
salute.
it.
I appreciate
Clinky
you
clink.
hosting me. But yeah.
Let's get right into the heart and soul of it, man. How's that? What do we got here? What do we drink? Let's just go ahead and call it out.
It's Lindemann.
Lindeman's strawberry lambic beer.
There's a lot of complexity there. It's a little sour. It has all kinds of flowery, but also a little IPA heart in it. There's a little bit of hoppiness in there. Just plain in your taste buds. Trying to like show up,
right,
but it's not overwhelming. Anyway, recommended. But so let's get into the meat of the things. You ask a hard question. I'd say my head is floating right now, and I would say this is the best and worst time of my life. Literally, and part of the reason why I have a pimple on my nose is like I think the best and the worst, they sort of collided and just took him out this way. It's very stressful time.
I can feel that. When rebirth involves death, you gotta walk low before you can experience the newness of the new thing. And the truth is that there's always a price to be paid for change. There's always a price to be paid for pursuing the next thing and kind of letting go of what's safe and comfortable, no matter how good and safe and wonderful that thing is.
True, but this is very true. And so I'm living it right now, and you walk into the office where I'm no longer the CEO of the company that I founded and been at for 7 years. And I can't tell you how much love and appreciation and connection and brotherly feeling, sisterly feeling I have towards the team. Like I grew them, I hired them, I handpicked them, and they stuck with me. And so it's very difficult to see them not yours anymore, right? They're still their own people, and I think it's better for them too, right? We do have a great leadership in place, and we'll discuss this, in due time. But I think me taking my position away from where it's at today provides a lot of lift and opportunity for folks who've been working very hard, just didn't have space to go, right?
Step up.
Space to grow, correct. Like they were ready to step up, but there was no space. I think I freed up some real good space for folks to step up. John stepped up, Michael Washington stepped up into the COO role, and then we have the whole young leadership. We'll talk about what's going to happen to the Property Management Show podcast. That's a very interesting concept we worked on. It's going to be executed. It's going to be innovative, and it's going to I think it's going to take this industry into yet again a very innovative and new space. But we can table that for a moment. So let's have another.
Before we get there, before we go all the way and all that, let's back up. Let's get clear on what we're talking about. You've had a journey in this space. You've built the company and you've been at this for what, 5-6 years?
7
and
years. 4 months.
7 years and 4 months, right? Give the man his full due. In that 7 years and 4 months, you've accomplished a lot, but back on day one, at the very beginning, what was it? Who were you? How did you get into this? How did this thing get kicked off? Take me back to day one for a moment.
Ass backwards into it, right? Fell ass backwards. So literally couldn't find a job in 2007, was it 9? I can't remember. Things came crashing down. The software sales did really well, got laid off. The only company was hiring propertyware. And they were growing like crazy because during the economic slowdown, property managers do really well. And propertyware sold to property managers. So that was the only company that was growing. I got paid about half of what I was worth. But I took the job because I couldn't sit at home for another month, another week, wonder what's going to happen.
You're a married man with a family at this point?
I was a married man with no family at this point.
But a married man nonetheless.
Married man nonetheless. I had a house. Like early on, I understood the importance of real estate. So this is the one thing in the Bay Area. Is this something you get into? And if you don't, pull everything you have. Like you're talking about people some crying like, oh, 35% of my income going to mortgage, 15%, 90% of my income going to mortgage. 90%, bro. You do what you have to. Like you do what you have to and you scrap around. Like my brother lived downstairs because we wanted to own a house. My brother lived downstairs. We remodeled the places we were living in it. You know, you have to hustle. And in the middle of it, you know, I'll lose my job. It was really bad. So, 6 months, got a dog, got sad, whatever. Propertyware hiring, went to work for Propertyware, got to know property management. And from there, went to Appfolio for 2.5 years or something, something near to that. And did a lot of talks at NARPOM, like on social media and stuff. And people will always line up and ask me, like, hey, we need help. Can you do this for me? I'm like, no, I'm a Appfolio employee. I can sell you software. They're like, we already have it. We just need help with social media and marketing. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I knew enough to present, right? Yeah. I knew enough. And then I started. All I did is I started listening to podcasts. Like Marcus Sheridan was the guy that I sort of connected with on like. He was my, he spoke the truths I wanted to believe. And his truths are, answer your customer questions, you will do really well. Like that's it. You ask the answer, right? Here's a book now, you ask the answer. You got they ask you answer, excuse me. You got to go, it's the wine talking, the beer. But you got to go pick it up. It's the concepts that I believed in, and I said, okay. What if we actually applied to actual businesses? So I went in the business of property management marketing and I applied Marcus Sheridan concepts and they worked. They worked really well because nobody was doing it. Right? You didn't have to have 15 blogs. You don't have to be Good Life Property Management. You don't have to be Steve Rosenberg. You don't have to be Brad Larson and have your crazy BDM guy do the dojo setup like to get attention. No, you just had to talk to people what the evictions were all about, right? You had to talk to people on what it meant to hire a property manager. And it worked really well. And from there, we built the company.
Fast forward to now, what's the company look like today?
Well, how about we fast forward to about 18 months ago?
All right.
Here's what's happening. We got 2018 fastest growing company, Inc. 5000. Okay, so meaning 40% year-over-year growth.
Right.
Okay, breakneck. Like, without a lot of funding, this is a lot to take on. And I don't know, some of you may grow faster and may think that 40% a year is not enough. But you try that for 5 years in a row, like you end up with a convoluted mess of processes, systems, you just grow, right? You grow, and when you have a problem, what do you do, Jordan, when you grow like that? You throw dollars at the problem. You throw people at the problem. Hey, we have the info sheet system where we collect all customers' information and we put it in info sheets, and they get outdated. New fields are created. There's nothing universal about. There's no like way to do a proper search in a proper field, because we've sort of evolved that info sheet over time, and then so it looks different for every customer, and all of a sudden that's a problem. So there's no really true CRM. So what do? You hire more account managers, right? Yeah, hire more account managers to be paying more attention to those info sheets. No, you don't implement a new CRM system like Salesforce, or something maybe back-end a ticketing system like Freshdesk. No, you don't. At that time, we just threw people at problems, right? And so there come a time where this growth so it tapers off, and we started like hitting 20%, and then 15%. And then we stayed 15, 20%, right? We're expecting to grow by about 20 this year. But when that slowdown happens, that money is not coming in. So what happens to all the people you've hired?
Some of them started thinking about looking for the exit door.
No, because you have a strong culture. You have an amazing culture. You have an amazing unity. You do events together. You fight for every customer together. You're sick with desire to make customers win. What do? You can't fire people, so your payroll costs go up. Well, you can fire people, but I wasn't gonna, because we were gonna grow into it, right? Grow into your payroll. Like, Danny talks about this all the time. Labor efficiency.
Absolutely.
You guys you profit coach fellas want to throw all kinds of metrics at us, the business owners, don't you? Yeah, some strawberry beer?
Sure. Yeah. Hit me. We want to see companies make money. There's no shame in that.
No shame. But I choose to shame you because I can't, right? I couldn't at the time. And so, not anybody's fault.
Oh my goodness.
Told you, man.
Wow. That was quite refreshing.
I wasn't just playing for the camera.
Quite refreshing.
See, I gave you a perfect hat. I have to wait for my hat now.
Why do you call it a hat instead of a head?
A hat. Because I like a hat. Head has multiple connotations.
Fair enough.
In the parlance of our time.
Fair enough.
The hat is a safer bet.
Maybe a safer reference. In any event, back to what's going on with dealing with the staff and the labor. So you become top heavy with labor.
Yeah, increasingly so. And then we realize, okay, we need systems. Am I a systems guy? Jordan, am I a systems guy?
No.
Thank you.
You're a growth guy.
Who is a systems guy?
Errol Allen?
There you go. Did we have Errol Allen running around back then? No. A year and a half ago, there was no Errol. There was nobody. There was no process, nothing. There was nobody.
Right.
Really, but it was EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System. I don't know how it came to it, but I know that I read it a year ago, and I wish hey, man, I wish I could implement that. And so I tasked my leadership team about 2.5, 3 years ago to read the book and come back to me with what they thought. I don't think anybody read the book. We were growing so fast, and I forgot about it. We moved on. And so when the time came when we needed it, it's we had to, at the same time, build technology into the product, because the last frontier of marketing is what? It's the conversion point. It's the ultimate piece where all the data, everything flows into, and it becomes either a win or mediocre or loss, right? It's a website. We have to own that piece. So we have to stand up a website as a product. We have to integrate it with services. Services were shit, right? Not in a delivery, from a delivery perspective, but from organization perspective. Imagine if the store you go to looks really good and all the prices are there, everything's good, but the back room,
when you go in the warehouse,
the back room is run by Peter Griffin. Okay, that's who's running the back room for us, me, and so all of that needed. So needless to say, I lost a lot of sleep. I was gonna give up. I'm never gonna give up, but I really wanted to.
It's heavy spot.
It was very heavy. It was very difficult. I cried. We had good customers leave. We had great customers come back in. We had a lot of situations. One of our key partnerships fell out, and we had just a lot of things to deal with. As an organization, I raised money to do this, but at the end of the day, we came out of this freaking just a machine. Like, I feel like I have a machine shop. Like, right now, I walk on a shop floor. There's not an iron piece anywhere. There's not a dust speck anywhere. It's just tight. What we have going on now after this 18 months of this hell, I went through hell, but I burned myself out, bro. I'm burnt out. Like, I've taken this reminds me of, I know I'm talking too much, maybe, so tell me if I should stop. But when I had one of my first real jobs was a Radio Shack, and I was a store manager for 5 years. First 3, I was in a really good store. I turn it around, I have a big fat gold ring with a diamond for profitability. Like, I got leadership lab. I won all the awards. I went all the nice trips, and that wasn't enough for some reason. Like, there was another store in Belmont, which was 40 minutes away. It was a big commute for me. That had a little bit higher potential. So my store was like $750,000 a year. This new store was $1.1 million, but it was a mess. It was just, there was theft in there. There was issues going on. There was just, and I took it. Like, I was an idiot. Like, I left my employees and I took it. I took the store. And I went through remodel in that store. I went through hell, and I was going to leave Radio Shack a year before I actually did, just because I wanted to finish the job. I needed to finish the job. I remodeled the whole store. I went through hell. Just imagine, like, you're trying to be in retail, you're trying to sell stuff, and they're stripping the popcorn ceiling. right, there's just a little divider there, right? But the way dividers getting installed is the workers tell you, okay, we're going to work on this section. So what do? You stay after hours and you reposition all the merchandise, who knows where.
Wow.
Right? It was just a nightmare, man. For a year, I've done that. And I feel the same way. Like, I've remodeled this company to a point. I've installed leadership, and the team there right now, I can't say enough. I can't say, some people just do lip service that stuff. Like, oh, my team. And when you poke at it, it's like, there's a little rot here. There's issues there. There's people not working as hard. There's just people have their own self-interest. Not in this case.
All right, so let's summarize. Here's what I'm hearing. What I'm hearing...
Cut that out. It was like a half an hour thing. All right, go ahead.
What I'm hearing is the Peter Principle, guys. You guys have heard of the Peter Principle, which basically says that you rise to the level of your own incompetence. You were a great lieutenant, world's best lieutenant, but you get promoted to captain, you flame out. It wasn't for you, but there was this burden and this inertia to constantly promote. In your situation, you rose to the level of your own incompetence in terms of your ability to just manage purely by gut, purely just by raw feeling, presence, etc. And so the shift in the transition was invoking that need to truly go pro in a way that was bigger than Alex, in a way that involved actually having a professional management structure, really empowering the team with the tools that were going to be bigger than whether or not you're here or not here. Tell us about that tool set. If you're listening to this right now, I'm going to say 50-50 odds that you've heard about EOS. This is not an unknown concept. This is not an unknown tool set for entrepreneurs. A lot of folks have read the book. You read the book, or your staff kind of didn't read the book. You were dabbling with it for a while. What was the inflection point for you to actually decide to go pro, realizing that there's probably multiple management systems or ways to manage? I mean, right? We're not here to like bow down and say EOS is the only way. This is how I run my companies as well. But for you, what was the inflection point to really double down on this, and what did that journey look like?
It's very simple. Those of you who are thinking about it, either you become an implementer yourself, which obviously I wasn't gonna, because my job wasn't operation. My job was pushing business, and business was being pushed, right? But the operations needed systemization. They needed control. They needed new systems. They needed new processes. And simply, it's hiring the right person, right? So for me, it was Michael Washington, who came in with 24 years of Silicon Valley project management experience through Visa, PG&E, like big blue chip stuff. He's got deep theater background in New York, just very, very people focused, yet project, like he is the unicorn, right? He is definitely a unicorn, but you don't have to have a unicorn. You just have to have a really good systems guy. Systems girl, doesn't matter. You gotta have somebody systems oriented. And when they walk in, you give them the opportunity to take this all the way. And so when he read the book initially, it wasn't me or like I asked him to do it. He was like, this is very similar to a lot of systems I'm used to that big companies run. I can do this. I'm very excited about it. This is all organized. I understand this. There's metrics. There's scorecards. There's numbers. I can do this, Alex. I can do this. Let me be the integrator. Let me implement. And then so he owned it to a point where it was an obsession. Right? Not like I do it while we do something else. No, it's obsessively.
It was committed.
Oh, it's obsessively invested into implementing the system as quick as possible, which was incredible. So you have to have that person. And look, John operates within that system right now, and he thrives and he's doing well. But John isn't the implementer. Michael is. Didn't have the Michael before.
And for those that don't know, who is John and who is Michael, just roles-wise, title?
So John stepped in as a new CEO, and I think he has that skill set, but he doesn't have the integrator skill set, which is Michael, which is now COO.
And this is the classic EOS balance.
Correct.
Is to actually have this balance between the integrator not necessarily being the same person as the CEO.
Right.
So you've made this transition. You've embraced a system that's bigger than just a guy with a dream and a vision, kind of cowboying this whole thing up. As you're integrating EOS, we're skipping quite a bit. Like, I know this wasn't seamless. Like, walk me through some hiccups, some road bumps. I mean, one of the things has to be right out of the gate that you, regardless of Michael's enthusiasm, you as CEO had to choose to put yourself underneath this. Because if you don't, nobody's going to take EOS seriously. If the CEO can still come in and just cowboy things, lasso it around, give out orders, say, oh, level 10 meeting isn't happening today, etc., it just doesn't work. So talk to me about that first, making yourself accountable to this framework. What does that look like?
Well, it's the first meeting where you get rated by other employees. There's a name for it. I'm not good on names, but the first meeting is really where you have, like, coming to Jesus.
Getting feedback.
Coming to Jesus, I call it. Because you come to Jesus and you are judged. You're judged not by Jesus, but by the people of your organization, very honestly and structurally on three categories, right? You know it, get it, can't do
want it. Know it, get it, want it.
Yeah, know it, get it, want it, yeah. And look, I got 1 minus.
On what specifically?
On get it. The middle one. Whatever. People got minuses too, but I didn't expect to. Like, I thought I was invincible and the oracle. And look, I got a minus, and that was a little bit of a wake up for me. And I think the message there is like, look, you're running us ragged. You're running us ragged. We need systemization. We need to get a grip. Like, let us operate. Like, give us tools, give us systems, give us, like, not just clients, give us ways and systems to manage those clients. And so that was a good realization. And look, at the end of the day, for the last 3 quarters, the first one I made some decisions, the second I made less, and the last one I made none. Like, I just let my team figure out what to target.
You created the space.
Yeah. What to target, what rocks, meaning the most important things we're going to focus on for the next 3 months, and the strategic direction of the company has already been determined and agreed upon. So now they just have to sort of chop it up and go at it. But there's deviations, there are opportunities that we grab and whatever. And so I could be fishing 3-4 days a week and still be called the CEO. But then my ass is in the seat, taking space and air from the company and the people and the opportunities from those folks, right? And I'm turning 40 in July, Jordan. Right? That's not 35. That's not a youngster.
No, still, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. I'm turning 40, and it's a very and some people laugh. Like, I know you guys, some of you in the 50s, and I respect you and all that, but 40 is a big number. You're 7 years with one company. You can fish 3-4 days a week. Do you do it? Do you go fishing?
Hey, no judgment if you do.
No. Hell, that's for you. Do you go fishing if you meet? Right? You don't. Fishing needs to be an outlet, not the
thing.
You know, the thing that I'm doing. Although it's very competitive and there's a lot there. Like, I can't say nothing about the complexity of fishing.
This is funny, the example that you bring up, because you are actually really into fishing.
I am. I enjoyed it a lot, but I think I won't enjoy it as much. Like, I need to be old and barely moving. Then it's a challenge, right, bro? Like when you have to move your move your wheelchair, into a spot.
You get the pole in the water.
Yeah, hell, it needs to be a challenge for me. But there's a lot of complexity here, but it's also very, very simple. I'm a growth guy. I've been rattling this cage, and this company does not need a growth guy right now. It doesn't need a growth guy like me, who already knows all the answers, who already sort of who can shortcut a lot of processes and development, right? And just tell them how it is.
In that way, you're kind of like a wrecking ball in many ways.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, bro. Yeah. Me and you both within our own companies. That is something, that is one of the times that I've really had to learn to become mature as an entrepreneur. When somebody brings something with great forethought and care and concern, and if I'm not on it and I'm not paying attention, I come in as a wrecking ball and I'm like, I don't like that, I don't know about that, nitpick this, nitpick that. That's maturity to say, you know what, this person spent 10 hours preparing, crafting, shaping, working on this project, and I'm 5 minutes into a meeting. Maybe it makes sense for me to actually give some deference to the work that was done here. And that's a matter of managing your ego and appreciating the craft and the discipline that goes into the various aspects of the work. EOS is obviously part of that structure, but at the same time, there's quite a bit of truth in the fact that when you're in that early phase of the business, that's what's needed. When you're in the early phase of the business, you can't have 10 specialists. That cowboy impulse that caused you to start it in the first place is actually incredibly highly valued, but it's really about the phase and the life cycle of the business. Fair?
I'm just smiling when you're saying this. Absolutely. And so another thing I begin to feel is atrophy. Right?
Skill-wise?
Yeah, you like to write copy. When was the last time you had a chance to really sort of spend a couple hours to dig into the copy?
Man, it's been a while, but you got me pegged. Yeah, I really enjoy writing copy.
Yeah, there's the thing. I'm a prototyper. That's who I am. I prototype. I enjoy prototype. I don't enjoy produce. Like, when it goes to production, that's somebody, like, I need somebody else to take that. Like, but I'm a builder, right? I'm a prototyper. I think I can be really good at producing eventually later on. I'm just not that interested in it right now.
Right.
Like, I think I can be good at anything I put my mind to.
Sure, I just don't want to. Of course.
I don't want to right now. Like, there's so much prototyping to be done.
That's not what the universe is calling out of you. What the universe is calling out of you is to apply your unique ability. You and I are going to force anything through sheer will, grit, determination. But the reward for you and the organization you work for is focusing on unique ability, which means that can't look like forcing things.
Gary Keller, yeah, absolutely. And so, look, It's a very hard decision. Very, very hard decision. But you got to get up and make that decision. Not many could, right? And even less do it correctly. But, look, I've enjoyed... I built a website on Sunday. It took me a couple of hours to just whip it up, right? It's why and what.how. So H-Y and then the W-H-A-T.how. This is like questions. Why and what.how. It took me a couple of hours, but I've enjoyed it tremendously. Like, I haven't been allowed to build anything for a while, bro. Like, I feel neglected. Like I have a little consulting shingle that I'm hanging up right now. I want to think what I'm doing. I want to think where I'm going.
Of course.
So I whip up this little website. Hopefully you peg it in the show notes. People can click on it.
Of course.
It's kind of a out there, but it's simple, one pager. But I've enjoyed it, man. Mm-hmm. Like I sat in my garage, I'm on my rods and fishing gear, and I create it. Mm-hmm. I created. I put a wireframe together. I thought this through. Then I have people who do the wireframe. I have people who design. I have people like. I just submit a ticket to get something done. I don't want to submit a ticket. I want to do something. Mm-hmm. Right.
Get your hands dirty.
Right. And that's one of the things. I don't need to be in people's way. I need to create my way. And this, I was getting in people's way. Like, let's just be honest here.
What's interesting to me, Alex, is thinking about this impulse and this inclination to think that the thing that I did to get where I am now somehow is no longer critical. The courage that I exerted to quit my job and start the business, to slog, to stay in it, to go live in mom's basement, that was critical then, but now that I've got the business up to a couple $1 million in revenue, I've earned the privilege not to have to exert that muscle anymore. What you're doing is essentially assuming the opposite. The business is up, it's stable, you've been through this recent challenge, you've installed EOS. Instead of backing down from that challenge and electing and say, I have earned the right to go fishing 3 days a week. Instead, what you're saying is, I have earned the right to go after the next challenge and to wade back into the chaos of something new. That's what's interesting to me about the decision that you made. There's no right wrong here, but you got to know your temperament and know where you're at. You were clear on what was going to work for you, and you've acted on it. Nonetheless, I know there's got to be some fear, trepidation.
Oh,
Brother,
tons of it, dude.
Talk to me about wading through your own mental noise and chatter about wading into this decision.
You wake up in the morning in a cold sweat. Like, you just wake up in the morning and you're like, what the hell have I done? Like, that's a first thought. It's been on my like for the last month and a half or so. Like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? Like, why? Like, what is it? And then when I wake up, I have this process now, right? I own my mornings, and one of the way I own my mornings is I'm not Steve Rosenberg. I don't go to the gym at 6 a.m. I'm not that kind of overachiever, but I am taking a very cold shower. Like, I pull all the way cold and stay 2 minutes and be in misery, and that's the worst part of my day. You can't do anything to me beyond that. That's physically painful. That hurts. That's very tough. Mentally, it's very hard to sustain that. Then just try that. Right? It's difficult. And so when I get punched by that cold water in the morning, I snap right out of it. Like, I snap out of it. But before the shower, usually it's difficult. And before going to sleep, I read a book, so it doesn't bother me. But throughout the day, what really gets me is the behavior of my people. They're not mine anymore, per se, but they're so close to me. Like, you worked for somebody for so many years. They're my people. I still think of them as my people, but you can see the subtle
shift.
And rightfully so. Like, they need to understand who the new leadership is and how to behave in it. And there's a new regime, and that's fine. But that's painful, and it's not their fault. It's not your fault. If you're listening, it's not your fault. It just is. But that's painful. That's change. That's change in the making. Other than that, I have zero reservations about the decision. Look, a big deal for me was to give the people that deserve it, that are better than me at this point, the opportunity to shine. I needed to get the hell out of the way. If I'm wrong, we'll think. But I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this is gonna be one of the good stories. And at the end of the day, I'll make out like a bandit anyway. So what does it matter?
So you made the decision not to get out 12 months ago, though. All right, it would have been the easy route. Would have been to get out at this inflection point.
Just leave. Just done. Walk away. Be sane. Be sane again. It was insane times, but yes.
You stuck it out. So what was the cause for you to stick it out at that low point?
It's not a quitter. Very, very simple. And it's not only me. Even if I had everybody not believing in me, I still wouldn't quit. But when everybody believes in you, when you have people that call your place home, they bring
Depending
a paycheck.
on you.
They bring a paycheck that feeds their family. You can't let them down. To me, it's that. Like I truly live by a definition, and I'm proving it by my move. But happy employees make happy customers. Then those customers make happy shareholders.
It follows.
So it works.
Just naturally follows.
You have to live it. And so that's how, and living it is freeing up space. I need to go out and do other things. I can do some things. My dream and my mission has changed. It shifted, right? It was to show the property management businesses the fantastical opportunity you have in front of you. Like this recurrent revenue business was fantastic. It was not very competitive. Very few people did it right, and it was just the right time to do it right. And I think we're there. We're about a few days from PM Growth Summit, a couple days, and man, folks going to gather. This is going to be one of the best group of folks to run this business, and they're going to kill it, right? They're going to kill it. But I've proven what I needed to prove. You know what my next mission is?
Tell me.
My next mission is to make investors trust property management companies. My mission is to make property management one of the most respected professions in the scope of all other careers. My mission is to convert at least 7 million of self-managing landlords, self-managing investors into property management customers for the next 5 years. I don't dream small.
Let me tell you why this resonates with me. So let's reciprocate on story time here. Way back in the day, I started a lead generation business called Manage My Property, creating leads, sending them out. I'm young. It's my first rodeo. My mindset is like, we got this server spun up in the cloud, send out leads. Good luck with that. I'm going to charge you for that lead. Gets pushed back, The leads are no good. Had a rough go of it.
The leads are weak. Yeah.
The leads are weak. Classic Glengarry. Exactly. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. So after a couple years, we decide, hey, maybe we could build a CRM to help people close the leads. We do some research. We figure out people don't really follow up on the leads. We'll build a CRM. Do that for a while. It's definitely a tough road to hoe in some ways. We think, hey, education, right? People got the leads. We got the CRM, but they're not clear in the sales process, that the lead gen, PM Grow. We'll do some professional education, right? It's another way to help. Do that for a while, realize, hey, it's actually possible to grow and not make any money. No profit. Profit coach. We'll help you get clear on the finance side of things. Do that for a while. Realize maybe you have no fellowship. We start Tribe Mastermind. Maybe you have no formal sales process. Start Rent Scale. But what I'm doing is I'm following the value chain to get to the end result for the customer. I see you doing the same thing here. You're kind of staying with it, parallel concept, following the value, making sure that the end consumer, because in our case, the end consumer is the PM, but the end consumer arguably is the investor that the PM is actually servicing. So it's really interesting the thread of thought that you're following here. It's a wide mandate. there's a million different directions that you could go to actually fulfill that mandate, right? You got everything from roof stock to investor programs to everything in between. But the common thread here, I think for both of us, has been doubling down on asking, how can I create the most value for the customer? For somebody watching this right now, for the PM, the person coming to PM Grow Summit that wants to learn some tips, some tools, some hacks, some strategies, what is your advice to that person on how to cut through the noise and to get to the heart of the issue?
Start with why. Simon Sinek, right? Is this classic? This is what you and I have, what others don't, is the why. Is the why of it, right? Your why is unprecedented. This is on the board right there. Unprecedented value, right? I'm going to out-deliver on value to a point where no one can stand up and compete with me. And I'm going to do it in every possible discipline to help my customer win. Yeah, if there was a good company that helped with profit, you would partner with them probably, but there isn't any. So you build one, right? Difficult, tough, longer slog, a lot of investment, time to profit, time to exit, extend it. You just keep extending your time to exit, but at least you're moving on to your why. And my why was big, and for a while, I felt really good delivering on the why. I felt really good. Pushed. First podcast ever started. Like, I don't need to mention all the accolades, right? Boy, it's like people know me, people know who I am, people know my heart is pure. Like I was there to deliver, and I didn't necessarily make any money doing it, which is okay. I make a good living. I make a great living. Don't feel bad for me, please. I make a great living. But point is, the mission has shifted from under me, and I only caught it about a year ago. I'm like, look, like we're all looking in this bloody ocean right now for more fish, when there's like this blue thing out there. Like all these others that don't hire property managers. Kevin Ortner put it in a really good way. He said 3 reasons people don't hire property managers. I agree with him. One is generational slant. Older people tend to be DIYers, right? But at the end of the day, the last two is fixable, right? It's we don't communicate value very well at all, and the trust. The industry has lost the trust over the years and years of neglect. So that could be made up. And so I firmly think that the next mission for me is to regain that trust industry-wide. How am I going to do it? I don't know yet. I don't have the answer to that yet. But my why and what, that how website is up. If you know, hit me up. But that's the thing. Either I'm going to do one property manager at a time with 300 customers, or I'm going to do it property manager with 10,000 customers. I don't know yet, but I'm going to do it. That's where I'm going.
And in the process, you're wading into the abyss, wading into the chaos.
Yet again.
To figure out what's next, how. There's 2 ways to do this, Alex. One option is to say, it's got to have a bow on it. All the questions have to be answered. It's the perfect opportunity, served up on a silver platter, perfectly explained, no risk, no downside, and just wait for that. Wait for that ship to come in. The other way is to say, I am compelled. My values, my heart's desire is compelling me in this direction. I'm going to figure out the details. I'm going to pick option A. Option A falls through. I'm going to pick option B. Option B falls through. I'm going to go for option C. That's what I appreciate and respect about what you're doing. It's not a comfortable place to be, but it's the place that's going to give you the passion and the fuel to wade through the day-to-day. Because the truth is, it's all hard. You pick a small op, it's hard. You pick a big op, it's hard. You might as well go after the thing that you have belief in, you have conviction about.
You asked one thing on how people who are still with us, still watching, still standing near their stairs, about to walk their dog home, but want to listen, finish this interview before they walk home and get all the craziness with the kids and all that. Like for that person who's standing out there, and waiting for this, for the value, big ass value to drop, I'll say I'm just not afraid. I'm not afraid, man. I was poor. I was very poor. I don't give I just don't. Like, I look at where I live right now. Every evening I come to my house, come back home, and I'm grateful. Like, I can't believe it that I live in this place. Like, I don't need a palace. This is a palace. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm very grateful for who I am, but I'm also not afraid, because I can go back and, like Seneca, and I'm into this sort of philosophy stuff, and Stoicism, and it's basically Stoicism teaches people how to deal with hard, difficult circumstances of life. Yet persevere, perform, build, move people. A lot of famous people, obviously. That's how they lived. But bottom line is, be thankful for what you have, and don't be afraid. What do I gotta be? What do I have to fear, man? You know what? You wanna go work for McDonald's? I go build best burgers there will be. I'll be the best line cook they have. I'll do it. I'll do it too, and I'll do it well. Right? I'll do it until I get to the store manager. I don't care. Not afraid. And I think that's what a lot of us are missing. We get, you put in $250 in your pocket, right? You put in $250 in your pocket. You're managing 500 properties, and it's just risky, right? Investments are risky. Like, you open up real estate sales division, you're like, I have to skim off of that thing. Like, yeah, but I have a Porsche, or I have this obsession with, I don't know, Italian art, whatever it is you into. That's your choice. But others, don't be mad, or don't be disappointed when within the next 5 years, there'll be hungrier people right behind you eating your food. It will be the case. That's what's going to happen. This business is very attractive. It's very delicious. People's going to want it. People's going to want to get into it. Hungrier people will get into it. Mm-hmm. And hungry people are forced to reckon with, especially, intelligent and doers. And so, that's a choice we all make. We get held up in our habits, and in how we decide that we need to live and we deserve this and all that. None of this enters my vocabulary. I don't deserve shit. I earned it, and if I don't, I'm going to go poor, and I'm going to be okay with that.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. The immigrant story that you just identified.
I didn't bring that up, by the way. I didn't bring that up.
The immigrant story is the story of America, is the story of capitalism, is the story of the disadvantaged and the underserved and the underprivileged, with a greater hunger and drive, and that survival instinct overtaking the incumbent, overtaking entitlement. Whatever your starting point is, their advantage will always be competed away. There's always somebody that's coming after you. And the brightest and the best, it's not about not being afraid, it's about being afraid and doing it anyway. Is that not the definition of courage? You're still afraid. You just choose to
I'm not afraid to make a decision, but you heard me admit that I don't sleep. I have reservations. This is fear, but don't let it inside your heart. Right? Keep it outside. Keep it as a veil. But don't be afraid to make a decision. Once you make a decision and announce it, then things are okay. But I'm just saying, if people want to play golf, or 10 hours a day, whatever,
no problem.
That's the choice. But just make sure that your home is protected.
Yeah.
While you're playing golf.
Yeah.
Because somebody's out there to take it, guaranteed. This business is hot, and it will continue to be so. Somebody's going to be out there, hungrier, better, leaner, stronger, smarter. Mm-hmm. Just don't complain. Don't complain. Build a moat. A moat is, sorry to interrupt, but one last thing. Moat is serving your customer all of their real estate investment needs.
Undeniable.
Right? That's your moat. If you just have a property management company and you're horseback riding, I'd say, 30 hours a week, sorry, you haven't done enough to protect the business. There's a John, there's a Jim, there's Susie, there's somebody out there disrupting you. And it will, because they're hungry and they're ready. And they can do it cheaper. Because they have systems, they've invested in technologies, they have done things. That is how it is.
Mm-hmm. Sleep in their car, whatever it may be.
Correct.
There's always an advantage.
Correct. Not afraid. They have nothing to lose.
Here's what I want to explore in the back half of this interview. To do justice to the future, oftentimes, is to do violent to the present.
Interesting.
Is to put a knife in the back of the status quo. And if you're staying with the status quo, in many ways, that's what it can feel like. What I want to hear from you is what it is like to be put in a position where the future that you have chosen can be interpreted as doing an injustice to those folks that are not necessarily going to be in that journey with you. You've assessed your own heart, your own intention, your own commitment to these people, the team that you've built. You've stayed through. You didn't bounce out when it was easy 18 months ago. You stayed through, but nonetheless, all that isn't necessarily seen or fully appreciated in the fog of change. And yet, cry me a river. As a leader, cry me a river. You stepped up and you chose this role from day one because you were willing to take it without excuses and without having anybody else to blame, and that hasn't changed as you leave. Walk me through the psychology of doing what's right for somebody else, even when that other person doesn't necessarily recognize it as such.
Right here. It doesn't matter what they recognize or they don't. I hope they do. Sometimes I count that they do, but I don't expect them to do it. It doesn't matter. I don't do it for them, although I do it for me in a way that it's my life's purpose. Number one is to be a good human being and figure out how to win ruthlessly in business by being a good, ethical human being. But I'm ruthless when it comes to business, right? But I'm not going to jeopardize or ever put my values on a line. But everything else is a fair game. So if I can bend, if I can mold, if I can press, if I can heat up a little bit here, if I can put a blowtorch to this, if I can mold it in anything somehow where it resembles to what I want to do, I'll do it. I'm not saying skirting the line between ethics. That's never going to be the case. But skirting the line between getting somebody upset. Look, yeah, there's some people upset that I left FourandHalf. I'm sorry. Yeah, it is, but it's entitlement. It's the notion of entitlement. It's a notion of, hey, we're gonna have this forever. No, I'm not the right person to run the company. Yes, you better accept who this person is now. Yes, it's gonna work great. You will see. Today, I'm not gonna be able to convince you or give you any more, except to say, look, this is my decision. Respect it or not. That's your choice, and I will support you even in that choice. Mm-hmm. But I will not move on ethics. I will not move on values and my overall why and the big mission. Mm-hmm. My big mission is shifted, and I'm moving towards it. Mm-hmm. That's all I have to say. There's just there's really nothing more there. I can't make everybody happy. 4.5. The reason that name came out, you know that why, right? 4.5 is the definition of a business philosophy, and my life philosophy is you can't make everybody happy.
Sprezzatura.
4.5 out of 5. There's going to be a percentage of people who are going to be unhappy about you. Now, if you are dumb and everybody's unhappy about you, right? And then obviously it's 1.5. Like, it's time to look at things and stop being an idiot. But as long as you are true to your purpose, the why is clear, and you're moving towards it, and look, some people I appreciate their concerns very much so. I ache with them. Trust me, I do. It's very difficult. but I'm not going to stop.
So when you're hearing this, those of you listening at home, you're thinking, oh yeah, interesting, novel. Next time I leave my company, I'll keep that in mind. It's not about just leaving the company. It's about letting that key team member go that needs to go. It's about getting off of managing that aspect of the business that you don't have the juice with, but you're guilting yourself into overseeing. It's about embracing that form of change that you've been resisting because you have some kind of a self-righteous hero narrative that you're the person that needs to hold it all together, or you're the smartest person in the room, and if you don't do it, nobody else is going to step up. Change is inevitable. And those of us that are faced with the prospect of running this thing day to day, at some point come face to face with the limitations of your own ability. No matter what your skill set is, you're either trying to be the genius with 1,000 helpers where, at the end of the day, it all comes down to you. Give me the ball, coach. Put me in. I'm going to be the one that's going to make the touchdown pass. Or you're trying to build something that's bigger than yourself. You've obviously taken the latter approach. You've put the systems and the tools in place. You've set your team up for success. At the end of the day, though, there's admittedly some anxiety that you've talked about. Talk me through communicating with the team in this final transition. Talk about handing off the baton. How do you walk through and navigate that process of making that leadership baton handoff?
Transparency, honesty, and timing. Like, we didn't tell the whole team right away. Leadership team knew because there's preparations needed to be made, that things needed to be in place well in advance, right? We've had a long time, a lot of discussion with the board who's going to be the right CEO, why it's going to be the right CEO, why John is going to step in, and maybe somebody else. Like, there's some thoughts about looking elsewhere for the CEO, and look, we all came to a resolution. This was a process. The process needs to start, and Scott Fritz is going to talk about this PM Grow. If you guys are not going to PM Grow, maybe you can find him online, but he's going to talk about passive income and the choices you make, whether you want to operate your business, exit your business, or be a passive investor in your business, right? And the team heard from day one that there's an exit, right? And they didn't think this would be it, or this is the kind of exit, but most people basically said, yeah, we weren't surprised. Like, we weren't surprised. Like, nobody was moping. There was no whining. There was like the leadership, the Michael and John thing is so strong that this was not a sad mourning day for the people of FourandHalf. Like, nobody sat down with their heads down, had people tear up, come and hug me and kiss me. Teresa, thank you. And I had some emotional moments, but really, dude, next day everybody's fine, working, operating,
back to business.
Excited,
back
right?
to business.
We're all excited. We run a very, very good culture and tight ship, and everybody's very, very tight with each other and helpful, and it's a big deal. It's a big deal for them, but they're not surprised. No, they know who I am, and I've invested my heart and soul into it, and so this was not a big deal.
You mentioned there was some back and forth. Eventually, the decision was made that John was going to step up and fulfill in this role. John is stepping up in a way, in some ways, that you didn't, in the sense that he's stepping directly into this EOS structure. What you stepped into from day one was just some cowboy whirlwind sort of thing. He is stepping into a system, the process, and program, and yet he's been there throughout this role. How long has John been there from day one? What's the timeline there?
Yeah, he's been. So it's been 7 years and 4 months. He's been there for 6 years and 4 months. So he's been a long time.
Talk to me about mentorship and having a number two. Working with somebody for that period of time, there's obviously a lot of trust. There's a lot of rapport that is exchanged. For folks that have a number two, or they're looking for a number two, or they got a number three, a number four, number five, and they're wanting to groom somebody into that role, what advice and what feedback would you have on how to bridge that chasm?
You want to work with somebody who enables you. They don't necessarily need to be the genius. You're not looking for, like, I can count everybody's faults. I can count John's faults. I can count my own faults. I can count your faults.
Of course.
It's not that. Like, you and I, the reason why we're friends and we're good business partners, because why? We enable each other without disrupting. We challenge each other without being disrespectful. Like, that's a personal, I think that's just, and unfortunately, and maybe fortunately, we're not robots, right? We don't just can look at skill set acquisition or speed to training or any of those metrics. You can't just put a scorecard on your number two and say like, so no, personally, it's all about like, do they enable you to be who you are, and they take care of the bullshit. No matter how good or bad, it doesn't matter. You need it taken care of. If they're really bad, obviously that's not going to work. But if they're willing to learn, and if they're willing to take this off your shoulders, and they understand who you are and put you in a lane, your unique ability, that's somebody to hold on to. That's to me is number two. That's Jennifer Stoops versus John Bradford, right? That's he's number two.
Yep.
She's been like fantastic from what she said, from what he said. I've interviewed them both. Like they adore each other, right? In a lot of ways, they're friendly. That's their connection. I think Jennifer had to learn a lot to become that person for John. She was never didn't come in an executive, and she is, right? She is now, and that's just how it is. John was never an executive. John was a film major, and he held some important jobs. Him and I worked in another company together. That's how I met him. But he didn't walk in there as an exec. Neither did I. We have to become someone else. So as long as they enable you, don't disrupt you, and respect, there's mutual respect. That's what you do it.
So being a student of Dan Sullivan, the Strategic Coach Program is something I participated in that really resonates with me. The metaphor that you just made, John Bradford, with Jennifer, I'm thinking about TJ Hawk and Rob Coldwell. I'm thinking about Andy Moore and Jody.
Yeah.
This counterpart role, the idea of protecting your ability to focus and unique ability, but also your entrepreneurial confidence. This is a concept that Dan Sullivan talks about that I really hadn't thought about a ton. I think early on as entrepreneurs we think, I got to do everything. It's a grind, it's a slog, and I'm up for it. I will not be deterred no matter what. I'm just going to power through it. But over time, there's the realization that protecting your confidence as an entrepreneur, protecting your frame of mind is actually of quite a bit of significance, because there's a significant creative element that comes from being in that visionary role. For you, part of what this looks like is knowing when your time is up and when it's time to transition and to do the new thing. I'm curious your thoughts on the future. There's different types of companies. We've talked about bootstrap versus funded versus the spectrum in between. There's no right wrong here. There's no moralizing. But I know you. I know the Bay Area, which is your hometown. Give me your thoughts on, for somebody thinking about pure bootstrapping versus a little bit of debt versus giving up some equity, angel, Series A. What is your advice on the match for temperament and aspiration in that regard?
Go back to the why. Who are you? Why are you, is a better question. Why are you doing what you're doing, right? What is the size of your dream? Size that dream. Put some effort into it. Put some numbers in
Model it out.
In
Forecast.
the book. Yeah, model it out. Thank you. And then decide. Like for you, it's bootstrapping, Initially, your dreams were probably a little smaller. Just you didn't know the industry, right? You didn't understand the size of it. And frankly, when you started and I started, it was tiny.
No doubt.
Like, okay, there was 20,000 property management companies still, and back then, maybe 40, okay, whatever. But only like 3% of them were saleable.
Right.
Right? Like,
Right.
even open to any kind of like technology or new processes. So I think it's the size of the opportunity, Jordan. It's simply that. Once you understand your why and you size it properly, you decide how quickly, it's size the opportunity. I'm just saying that for simplicity, because the factors, right? How fast you want to get to market. How many competitors are also doing what you want to do? Like how unique your idea. If your idea is so unique, like FourandHalf, believe it or not, was such a unique idea when I started. Nobody did it for 4 years. FourandHalf needed an entrepreneur, a hustler, to push this company forward, to justify our existence to customers. Yes, you need to pay $599 a month to get reputation, content solved. You have to. You can't not do it. And now you're thankful you did, didn't you? Don't you? Right? But now you have to pay a lot more, right? It's just it's more competitive now. It's different now. So FourandHalf can tell you what you need to do. But now it's like there's all these competitors, like it's now known. Everybody needs marketing services. I'm going to choose this versus that. Before it was nothing versus, right? And so now the entrepreneurship part is done. We need product and operation focus in FourandHalf. And that's what's happening. Product and operation focus. But if your dream is to build a company where market does not exist, funding is, I think, a necessity, unless you want to slog it. Unless you want to be a clown and an idiot like me for a long time. Dude, a long time. I didn't make any money for a long time. Right? You're just spearheading something that doesn't exist. Eventually you'll see some people gathering behind you, but you're basically running forward on the horde by yourself. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough for a DeHo, for sure. I definitely agree with that.
What do you think?
You know, I agree. You got to know your lane. You got to know your aspiration. There's no right, wrong. You got to know what's a fit for what you're trying to accomplish with your life. I mean, for me, where I'm at, I'm trying to decouple effort from results. I want to get off of thinking that the fantasy that Richard Branson is 100 times more successful for me, and therefore he works 100 times harder than me. Clearly, that's not the case, right? That example breaks the rule of this mindset. But for me, it's about transitioning to getting on a who track and a who problem, and off of the what and the how. I have a business coach, as you know. It's been impactful for me. One of the things he talked about me early on was the difference between mechanics versus intention. The mechanics is the article that you read, the 10 growth hacks, etc. The intention is what are you committed to? And he asked me at one point, he said, Jordan, if you were to weight the difference in impact in terms of the outcome, what percentage of the outcome do you think is determined by the mechanics, the strategies, the tactics, and what percentage is determined by intention, i.e. your commitment? And I don't remember what I said at the time, but I think I said 90-10 towards 90% of it being intention. And he said it's 100% intention. The truth is, where your commitment is, when the commitment is there, the mechanics will figure themselves out. The question that I have for you, Alex, is, my belief is that thinking is the handmaiden of attention. When your attention is focused in the right place, the results, your effort, your innovation will show up. When your attention is in the wrong place, the thinking of all these strategies is going to be futile. Where would you advise our listeners, 7 years in, you've been doing this for a while, man, for somebody that wants to aggressively grow profitably, for somebody that wants to live the entrepreneurial dream and to have freedom? Let's get off of the, where do I get leads from? How do I do SEO? Is it Bing or is it Google? If we get off of that and we talk about high level attention as an entrepreneur, where would you advise somebody to invest their attention?
3-step process. Pricing strategy, key differentiators of the business, and a plan to execute, as well as metrics. So plan to execute with metrics and continuity in following up, making sure everything is executed. That is the three-piece magic. Pricing output number one, because everybody gets it wrong. Everybody. There's amateurs rampant everywhere. Okay?
Everybody gets it wrong, and it is one of the most highly determinative factors in your ability to capture revenue.
1 second, you're absolutely correct. Everybody gets it wrong I'm not blaming everybody. I'm saying we don't experiment enough to get it right. Opportunity, huge opportunity. There needs to be a path of experimentation. That's your demand lever as a business owner. You have that control. Nobody's doing it. Everybody's like, some people are talking about it. It's too complex. Oh, I got to change my software. Come on. Throw up a landing page. Throw a couple grand a month via AdWords and get real data on what works. Then adapt it company-wide. I'm going to teach you simple, right? Experiment. Pricing, the second aspect is, like, who are you? Like, I speak to thousands of companies, thousands, Jordan. Everybody has it differently. Everybody does a little bit differently. Everybody has a little spin on their thing. They have a little pocket of knowledge that nobody else has. I guarantee you this, dude. I guarantee you everybody has that. Like, even the lamest freaking most vanilla company has this little pocket of knowledge not being explored right now. Because why? Why? Dude, I'm off. I'm with a couple beers in, but I'll tell you the truth right now. Why? Is because you are afraid to alienate some potential customers. You don't want to niche down because it's scary. Because you think, okay, if I focus on this particular customer and this particular customer only with my value propositions, I will disconnect all these other customers who I'm signing up and making money. They're making me miserable, but I'm making money off of them. So I can't do that. I gotta be vanilla. And if you're vanilla, if you're for everybody, you're for
nobody.
Correct. And so that's number two, courage to build those differentiators and niche down. And again, you're not locking yourself down. You can always experiment with that. But typically, I can flesh that out and get that out pretty quickly. And the last thing is build a plan to go after the perfect client with the perfect messaging and the perfect pricing. Ta-da! You can end here.
Put a ball on it. Put a ball on it.
You got it. I think that was good, man. I think it's time for us to drink one more in peace and quiet off the cameras, and you and I can talk a little bit more.
My man, I am honored that you came on.
Great interview. Thank you.
This has been a special journey with you.
I have a relief. I feel a relief, man.
Over the years. I'm proud for you of what you've built. I'm proud for this company that you've chosen to value over your ego. Could have been the Alex Osenenko show. You've chosen to prioritize the company, its customers, and its employees over yourself, and you're the one splitting out, wading into chaos. Good luck. Hope you're going to figure it out. I know that you are. But you're choosing to take on that risk while the company is stable, mature. You slogged through the desert. You came out the other side. And I know the company has a bright future with leadership and structure and best practices, and I know you do as well. I appreciate you being candid, you coming on to share. I'm excited to see what's next for you, and I just want to honor the commitment and the intention that you've made with people in this audience to add value, man. It's easy to come out and shill, to hawk product, to sell ebooks. It's harder to be invested in relationships and to put yourself in a place where you're vulnerable. It's one of the things that I love about this industry. If you do wrong by these people in this industry, they're going to tell each other, and your house is going to get burnt down in short order. To be here for 7 years, 7 years later, and to have been through that journey, it says a lot, man.
I appreciate it, Jordan. It's been a privilege to have you as a friend. I'm really glad that we were able to connect and make this into a friendship that actually benefits a lot of people. Like there's a lot of things we do under closed doors, and they're not the kind of things that people usually do under closed doors. Conniving, and it's like, no, we put a freaking summit together. I mean, look, I was gonna keep this on the table and show you. Look, these are my index cards that I'm preparing introductions, because we are seeing the conference. This is day one introduction. This is like thank the sponsors card. This is about Andy Moore. He's been a 14-year police officer. I have all the love. I'm prepared. Right? I don't want to come out on stage and give you excuses. Behind closed doors, Jordan and I just work harder to come out and look just look naturally good. Nothing natural about this year. It's difficult. This difficult stuff.
That's right, man. We got our baby. We're birthing one more baby. Year number 3, man. We're about to get back up in it. There's nobody I'd rather do it with, my man.
All right.
All right.
Very good.
We're going to see you guys there live. Some of you guys will watch this after the fact. Thank you so much for tuning in. And let's stay in touch and let's keep following the career of another veteran, another industry veteran launching off into something new. Thanks to you guys for being with us. See you guys at the summit.
Lots of love. Be well.
See you beyond. Thank you.